Our fault. Sometimes love ends, but its echo remains forever. She sat across from him. No tears, no shouting, just silence. The kind of silence that speaks louder than 1,000 words. The air between them felt heavy, like both were waiting for the other to say something that could still save what was left. But deep down, they both knew it was already gone. This isn't just a breakup story. It's about two people who loved each other so much, they forgot how to love themselves. The clock on the wall ticked softly, but to her, every second felt louder. She stared at the cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. He sat on the other side of the table, scrolling through his phone, pretending to look busy, pretending not to notice. How far apart they had grown. There was a time when mornings like this used to be full of laughter. She would talk about her dreams, and he would listen like she was the most important story in the world. Now, her words no longer found a place to land. Every good morning had turned into just morning. Every I love you had turned into take care. Outside it was raining. The sound of drops against the window filled the silence they couldn't break. She looked at him, really looked, and realized she didn't recognize him anymore. He wasn't cruel. He wasn't careless. He was just gone, lost in his own thoughts. His own walls. A voice played softly in her head. Maybe this is how love ends, not with anger, but with distance. She wanted to ask him if he still felt it. That spark, that warmth that once made them unstoppable. But fear stopped her. Because what if he said no? What if he told her the truth she already knew? He finally looked up, sensing her eyes on him. For a moment there was a flicker of something, guilt, maybe? Or love trying to find its way back. He opened his mouth, but the words didn't come out. He didn't know how to fix what had been breaking for months. She sighed softly, looking away, and whispered to herself, "We stopped trying, didn't we?" The scene fades, their hands on the table, inches apart, but not touching. The light from the window reflects on the untouched coffee cups. Two people, still together, but already living in separate worlds. The camera lingers on that empty space between their hands, the space where love used to live. The rain had stopped, but the silence between them hadn't. The sound of the dripping tap filled the room, steady, irritating, like a heartbeat that wouldn't stop even when everything else had. She stood by the window, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the gray sky. He sat behind her on the couch, staring at the floor, pretending to find something important in the pattern of the rug. Both were there, yet both were miles apart. Finally, she spoke, her voice low, calm, too calm. "Do you even notice how quiet we've become?" He didn't answer. She turned, waiting, searching for even a flicker of emotion in his face. But his silence said everything. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "You're making it sound like it's all my fault?" Her lips trembled, not out of anger, but out of exhaustion. "No, it's not just you. It's us. We stopped fighting for each other." For a moment the air changed. His eyes softened, hers filled with tears she didn't want him to see. He stood up slowly, closing the distance between them. "I still love you, you know that, right?" She nodded, eyes glistening. "Love isn't the problem. It's what we've done with it." He looked confused, desperate. "Then what do you want me to do?" "Tell me, and I'll do it." Her voice cracked, barely a whisper. "I want you to care without me having to remind you." The words hit him like a slow burn. There was no yelling, no storm, just the quiet truth that hurt more than any fight ever could. She walked toward the dining table, tracing her fingers across the empty plate that once held shared dinners and laughter. "We used to talk about everything," she said softly. "Now I don't even know what's going on in your head." He swallowed hard. "I didn't mean for us to end up like this." She smiled sadly. "No one ever does." A long pause. Then she said it, the words she'd been holding back for months. "I think it's over." He froze. The world went silent again, except for that dripping tap, one drop, then another, marking the end of something that once felt endless. She didn't cry this time. She just stood there, strong in her heartbreak. He wanted to speak to stop her, but all he could whisper was, "I thought love was enough." She looked at him one last time and said, "So did I." The scene fades as she walks away, her shadow leaving the room first, followed by her quiet footsteps. The camera lingers on him, standing still, realizing that sometimes love doesn't end in anger. It ends in silence. Days passed, but the silence stayed. The apartment felt emptier now, not because she was gone, but because her presence still lingered in everything. The smell of her perfume on the pillow, the mug she always used but never washed properly, the playlist they made together that he couldn't bring himself to delete. He sat on the couch, staring at the half-open window where the curtain swayed gently, as if reminding him that some things still move. Even when we stopped, her voice echoed in his mind. I want you to care without me having to remind you. He finally understood what she meant. It wasn't that she wanted grand gestures or promises. She just wanted effort. The small things. The ones that matter most when love starts to fade. Somewhere across town, she sat by the park bench they used to visit. Autumn leaves fell around her like quiet confessions. She thought about him, about the years they shared, and how slowly they drifted apart. It wasn't about who hurt who more. It was about how both forgot to listen, to notice, to stay. She whispered to herself, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't mine. It was ours. Her eyes followed a couple walking by, laughing, holding hands. For a second she smiled. Not because she missed what they had, but because she understood it now. Love isn't just about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting go before you destroy each other trying to stay. Back at home, he picked up their old photo frame, the one she had placed face down that night. He turned it upright again, not to keep it, but to remember that it was real. That what they had wasn't a failure, it was a chapter. A painful, beautiful chapter, he whispered. Maybe we were never meant to last forever. Maybe we were meant to learn. As he placed the photo in a drawer, a calm settled over him. No more guilt. No more what-ifs. Just quiet acceptance. Because sometimes love doesn't end because it wasn't enough. It ends because both people have grown in different directions. The camera drifts between them. Her walking along the park path. Him closing the door gently behind him. Two separate frames, one story. Their hearts heavy, yet lighter than before, and in the distance, her voice narrates softly. In the end, it wasn't about who stayed or who left. It was about us, how we tried, how we broke, and how we learned that love, sometimes, is not about forever. It's about the moments that changed us. Morning light crept through the window, painting the room in shades of quiet gold. It had been weeks since she left, but today felt different. He stood by the table, the same one where everything had ended, now bare except for a single key resting in the middle. Her key, the one she used to forget to take off her ring of jingling charms. He picked it up gently, feeling the cold metal press against his palm. It was strange how something so small could hold so much history. He looked around. The walls seemed to breathe again. The air wasn't heavy anymore. It was still, peaceful. Maybe emptiness wasn't always a curse. Maybe it was just the world making room for something new. Across town, she packed her last box. Inside it, an old scarf he gave her, a book they never finished reading together, and a note she never sent. The one that said, I still believe in us, even if we didn't last. She smiled softly as she sealed the box. It wasn't sadness anymore, just gratitude for the story they shared. Her phone buzzed. A message from him. I found your key. Should I keep it? She stared at it for a moment before replying, no, let it go. He read the message twice, then walked out onto the balcony. The city below hummed with life, people laughing, rushing, beginning again. He placed the key on the railing, watched the sunlight reflect off it one last time, and let it fall. It landed softly in the garden below, disappearing into the grass like a buried secret. Meanwhile, she stepped outside her new apartment, feeling the wind brush against her face. It was the same wind that used to blow through his hair when they'd ride with the windows down, singing off-key. She closed her eyes, and for a moment, it felt like goodbye wasn't the end. It was freedom. Her voice fades in, gentle and warm. Maybe love doesn't die. Maybe it just changes shape. Maybe it becomes something softer, quieter, like peace. He looked up at the sky at that exact moment, whispering the same words under his breath. Two souls connected even in their distance. No bitterness, no regret. Just understanding. The camera pans upward, from the fallen key in the grass, to the city skyline bathed in morning light. Her final narration echoes softly. We were never perfect. But we were real. And sometimes that's enough. Screen fades to black. Text appears, Culpa Nuestra, our fault. Sometimes love ends, but its echo remains forever.